Well, the never-ending Xbox story and their situation with current retailers has yet another wrinkle within it. And of course, I'm going to talk about this because I really find this story to be fascinating for a multitude of different reasons, not necessarily just the fact of the matter, where it does seem like some retailers are dwindling and potentially removing Xbox from their storefronts, but kind of the reaction to it as well that we have seen, not only from fans of Xbox to haters of Xbox to Xbox journalists. It's been a very interesting tale, and I think a very telling tale about how people react when certain news is either something they want to hear or something that they don't want to hear. But it is a never-ending story. And now we have another update on it. So I want to talk about all of this stuff and then just share my thoughts on it because, I mean, that's why you're here. You want to hear what I think about the situation. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to subscribe. Leave me a like. My fingers are still injured. I looked under the band-aids. It doesn't look all that good. To find out what happened to my fingers, watch the video from earlier today about WWE WrestleFest. But let's talk about what has been happening, because a couple of days ago, pretty much over the weekend, it was being reported that both Target and Walmart were going to be dwindling and potentially getting rid of Xbox in their storefront. This was stemming from a Reddit thread where several different individuals said essentially the same thing, that for upcoming planograms, Xbox was not a part of what was going on in the future. Now, a planogram is, of course, when you decide what you are doing for an upcoming season. You refresh stuff, you move stuff around. So to have people from both Target and people from Walmart both kind of say the same thing, like, it was a little bit weird. Now, of course, this could have just been something completely fictitious, but to be very detailed about things, it made it seem like a potential reality. People started looking at their Xbox stock at their various Walmarts and Targets and noticed that there were some telltale signs that things were being a bit diminished. Of course, we had the recent situation with Costco. Costco essentially liquidating all of their Xbox Series stock, Sam's Club following suit, and, you know, these aren't video game powerhouses or anything like that, but if they are getting rid of stuff at discounted prices, it definitely kind of paints a picture that, hey, maybe something else is going on. And then, of course, we had those good old Xbox journalists and stuff come through with quotes from Xbox PR saying, you know, no, we're still selling stuff, you know, and everything is fine and it's all misinformation, a giant overreaction, you know, pretty much gaslighting people who wanted to think that this was something rooted in reality because they're actually looking at the grander scheme of things. But we do have an update on things now, and I find this update to be very interesting because people are kind of using this to be like, oh, see, much to do about nothing. This was all just a big misunderstanding, a miscommunication. This isn't actually what's happening. And I still just, I'm not sure I quite see it that way. So this is coming to us from Cade Onder. I'm not familiar with Cade. He works at Comic Book. He's done stuff with Rolling Stone and Screen Rant. So, you know, he's been around the block. I got a couple friends that follow him and stuff like that. 14 people. And Cade reached out to Target and got the following information here. Target has provided a statement to me following rumors that Xbox games and hardware is no longer being sold in store. The spokesperson noted that Xbox products are still being sold at Target, in store and online. We continue to sell Xbox consoles and games and accessories, both in stores and on Target.com. Select items are currently not showing up on Target.com because they are sold out, but once available again, consumers will see them on Target.com. So with this, now people are kind of like, oh, see? Well, Target said, you know, no big deal, nothing's going on here, and I'm just kind of like, are we reading the same thing here? What did I say about, you know, the other article that we read where, like, you know, people were calling their local Walmarts and being like, hey, you got Xbox? Are you getting rid of Xbox stuff? And then the minimum wage employee in the electronics section was like, no, I still see some Xbox stuff. And everyone was like, oh, well, okay, everything is fine. Like this reads like you just email like who did you talk to at Target? Was this just the customer service email? You sent a customer service email because I don't think that the customer and what did you say in your email? I'm because it says right here, this looks like an email they sent to you. How else would they provide the statement to me? I'm not using smoke signals. So did you initiate an email and say, hey, are you guys still selling Xbox stock? Because I feel like Target just wouldn't necessarily reach out to you without you reaching out to them. And who is this at Target? Is this an actual employee, or is this a higher up person, or is this just a random customer service representative? Because I'm sorry, but a random customer service representative is just kind of like asking your local Walmart employee, hey, you guys getting rid of Xbox stock here? And here's kind of a funny thing about all of this, because I have been doing my own little digging with this situation as well, and I've had people reaching out to me about this situation as well. Of course, I have highlighted numerous times that in the upcoming holiday catalogs, which are now available for both Amazon and Walmart, there's not really any Xbox stuff in there. Now, there's PlayStation, there's Nintendo. You can find it in the catalogs, but when it comes to Xbox, it is noticeably absent from these catalogs. But beyond that, I actually had someone on my Facebook reach out to me. Now, this person said they were an employee at Target, and then they showed me their name badge. Now, I'm not going to say their name or anything like that, but what I will say is they don't have a generic name like John or Steve or what's a woman's name? Melissa or something like that, like a generic name that a lot of people have. They actually have a very, very unique name. And they showed me their Target name badge that has their name on it, which is a very unique name. And do you know what they said to me? That their Target store was no longer carrying Xbox stuff. Now, that could just be a fib. That could just be, maybe they just don't like Xbox or something like that. But I tend to believe that that's not necessarily the case, because what sort of motive does this individual have? What sort of motive do any of these individuals have that have been posting on Reddit, that have been saying things like their Target and their Walmarts are no longer carrying Xbox stuff, and they work it there? Like, you're going to get some Reddit likes? Like, is that a thing? Is that a thing that people like to seek out? Or when you look at the bigger picture, do you start to see that there are potentially cracks in the foundation? You start to see that this isn't a misinformation. I hate these misinformation campaigns that people do. They did them with Nintendo. Now they're doing them with Xbox. Why do these things happen? Why does this stuff start to spread like wildfire? If there was no reason to believe in it, if there was no, predecessor set up before this, then people wouldn't believe it. But when you look at what company we're dealing with here, Microsoft, only 4 games. Just kidding. There's more than 4 games. The Activision Blizzard situation, that's not going to lead to layoffs. Just kidding. We got to do some layoffs. Call of Duty isn't going to increase the price of Game Pass. Just kidding. We got to increase the price of Game Pass. Everwild is looking really good. I just played it. It was awesome. Phil Spencer. The next week, Everwild is canceled. Perfect Dark, looking really good. We're excited for this game. We've been developing it for a very long time. Sorry, Perfect Dark isn't coming out. It's not like this company has earned a lot of trust with people. And I don't feel like it's a bad thing for people to be skeptical about this. Do I think that Targets and Walmarts are just going to start pulling stuff off the stock, off of the floor and stuff like that? Maybe, maybe not. It really remains to be seen. But I do think that there are telltale signs that something is happening. If it's not a complete removal, it's definitely a downsizing of it. Do you think that Targets and Walmarts are going to want to have this stock sitting on shelves after these price increases, and then they just kind of sit there? Like, what consumer is going to walk in there this holiday season and see one of these overpriced Xbox Series consoles that, Game Pass, if you wanted to buy Game Pass, well, that's gone up in price now, and is going to choose that over a PlayStation or over a Nintendo Switch 2? Like, you have to look at it from a business perspective as well. And if you have dead stock just sitting on the shelves, you don't want to have that having a big section of your store. Retail stores are struggling as it is. So no, I don't think that this little Target quote that reads like a very customer service representative sort of quote is indicative of anything. I don't think that, calling your local Walmart or anything like that is necessarily a telltale sign, because why are they going to tell you anything? Why are they going to tell you anything? Even if you identify yourself, oh, I'm from the press, I work for xboxrules.com, you need to tell me some stuff. There's always ulterior motives. There's always, reasons why people, like, especially when you're talking about Xbox dedicated people, Xbox dedicated websites, they're always going to want to see the other side of the coin. And I don't like the whole gaslighting and telling people, oh, like, you're wrong, you believe misinformation, you're stupid. And it's like, well, you could just kind of look at the scale and scope of what is happening right now and realize that, something is going on. Something is going on with the Xbox brand right now. It's not all sunshine and farts. And being able to identify that and being able to say, hey, I think there's some problems here. There are some red flags popping up, and being concerned for the future of the company, I don't think is a nefarious thing or anything like that, but it's just, you know how it is. You know how it is with a lot of journalist people and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it's just the way that, video game journalism especially has become. It's like, we know more than you. You need to listen to us. We are the be all end all. We are the definitive answer when it comes to this. And it's like, I mean, okay, maybe some people think that, but like, look at this. I've had people, back when I got my little beef with journalists and stuff like that, I had a very prominent journalist tell me, no, you are a journalist. But if I'm a journalist, I'm also one that doesn't beat you over the head and say, you need to believe me, you need to listen to this, this is the truth. I encourage people to, come to their own conclusions and do their own research and find out information for themselves, because I don't think that there's clear-cut answers with a lot of these things. But that's just a little tangent. That's what's going on with Xbox right now. So Target customer service says, no, everything's cool. Everything's cool. And really, like I always say, we are getting to an age where digital is prominent and stuff like that. So your video game sections are going to be shrinking anyways. But I definitely still believe that there is something else going on to this. There is some more stuff happening with this. And then I think once the truth finally comes out, much like how a lot of these Xbox people and journalists told us that Everwild was going to be great, like they said it was only going to be 4 games, like they said Perfect Dark was going to be awesome, like they said Game Pass wasn't going to price increase, like they said that Activision Blizzard merger wasn't going to cause layoffs, they're once again going to have to backpedal. They're once again going to have to move the goalposts. And I almost kind of feel bad for them, because they have essentially become the public relations arm of Xbox, because Xbox just doesn't want to do any on their own. Let me know what you think of it, though, in the comments section down below. Where do you stand? Do you think that this is a gradual phase out, a dramatic phase out, or everything is completely fine? And as always, thank you for checking out this video. Be sure to check out the video from earlier today where you could actually see the blood coming through. I don't think this is healing well. Basically, an electric screwdriver went into my thumb, and it hurt really bad, and like blood was shooting all over the place. This is a gross scene. This is a very gross scene. So find out what happened with that. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.